I tried to discipline the human by force. She reminded me her species survived a planet designed to kill them. I am not going to sugarcoat this. When I first saw the humans arrive at Intergalactic Trade Station Omega 7, I laughed. Actually laughed, right there in the docking bay, watching them shuffle off their transport vessel like a bunch of lost hatchlings. They were small, soft-looking, and moved with this weird bouncy gait that made them look perpetually off balance. I remember thinking, these are the species that supposedly conquered their entire solar system? These fragile little things? My name is Vexed Tar, and I am, or rather was, a supervisor in the Cargo Coordination Division. Mid-level management, decent pay, better benefits. I am Crow Vaccine, which means I stand roughly 8 feet tall when I am even not trying to impress anyone. My exoskeleton can deflect most small arms fire. My natural strength allows me to lift approximately 4 times my body weight, and my species has maintained dominance in our sector for the past 6 centuries through superior physical power and unwavering discipline. We do not ask, we command. We do not suggest, we enforce. The hierarchy is everything to us. You know your place, you respect those above you, you demand respect from those below you. Simple, effective, the way civilized species should operate. So when the human delegation arrived, assigned to work in cross-species logistics coordination, I did not exactly roll out the welcome mat. The station administrator, a weak-spined collection named Tremec, had insisted we needed human expertise in supply chain optimization. Apparently, they had revolutionized trade routes in their sector. Great. Wonderful. I'm sure their little spreadsheets were very impressive. But one of them caught my attention, mostly because she was even smaller than the others. Riley Chen, according to her identification badge, maybe 5.5 feet tall, probably weighed less than my left leg, with dark hair pulled back and some kind of tail, and sharp, dark eyes that seemed to take in everything around her. She had this way of moving, quick and precise, like she was constantly calculating distances and angles. Weird, but whatever. Humans were weird. The orientation meeting was exactly as boring as I expected. Tremec droned on about cooperation, mutual respect, cultural sensitivity, blah, blah, blah. I watched the humans instead, studying their reactions. Most of them seemed nervous, which made sense. They were surrounded by species that could literally tear them apart without breaking a sweat. The Crow Vaccine alone had 5 representatives in that room, not counting me. Then there were the Therians, the Warwick workers, even a couple of Grill 2 engineers, all of them bigger, stronger, more durable than the soft little primates. Riley Chen, though, sat there taking notes on her datapad, completely calm, occasionally asking questions that were actually intelligent. She wanted to know about load-bearing limits on the older docking clamps, about atmospheric pressure variations in different cargo bays, about emergency protocol response times, technical stuff. Useful stuff. I almost started to think she might not be completely useless. The first week went fine, relatively speaking. The humans kept to themselves mostly, worked their stations, did their jobs. They were punctual, efficient, and irritatingly good at finding inefficiencies in our systems. Riley Chen turned out to be some kind of specialist in high-risk cargo management, which meant she was constantly in and out of the more dangerous sections of the station. She never complained, never hesitated, just did the work. But here's the thing about Crow Vaccine culture. We value strength, yes, but we also value discipline, order, structure. When someone steps out of line, when someone disrupts the hierarchy, when someone shows disrespect to the established power structure, we correct them physically if necessary. It's not cruel, it's educational. A firm grip, a reminder of who's stronger, who's in charge. Everyone understands this, everyone accepts this. Or so I thought. The humans had been on station for exactly 9 days when it happened. 9 days of watching them scurry around, doing their jobs, staying mostly out of trouble. 9 days of my natural superiority going unchallenged, unquestioned. 9 days assuming I understood exactly what these creatures were capable of. I was so wrong. And it all started with a morning briefing, a minor scheduling conflict, and Riley Chen walking through the door 8 minutes late. 8 minutes that changed everything I thought I knew about humans. The morning briefing started at 800 hours sharp. Everyone knew this. Everyone. It was not a suggestion, not a guideline. It was mandatory attendance for all cargo coordination personnel. I stood at the front of the briefing room, data pad in hand, watching as my team filed in. Crow vaccine, 3 in collections, Moric, and yes, the humans. All of them on time, all of them ready. Except Riley Chen. 0801 hours. No Riley. 0803 hours. Still no Riley. I felt my mandibles click together in irritation. The other humans were exchanging quick little glances, nervous energy radiating off them like heat from a reactor core. They knew she was late, and they knew I wasn't happy about it. 0805 hours, I started the briefing anyway, going through the daily cargo schedules, the maintenance updates, the safety protocols, but part of my attention stayed fixed on that door, waiting. 0808 hours, the door finally opened. Riley Chen walked in, calm as anything, like she hadn't just kept an entire briefing waiting. She wasn't running, not hurrying, just walking at her normal pace with that same focused expression she always wore. She had a data pad tucked under one arm and what looked like equipment grease on her left sleeve. I stopped mid-sentence. The entire room went quiet. Every eye, every optical sensor, every sensory organ turned toward her. She looked around, seemed to realize she had interrupted something, and had the audacity to just nod slightly and move toward an empty seat in the back. Oh no. No. That was not how this worked. In Crow vaccine culture, lateness is disrespect, disruption is challenge, and challenge must be answered immediately, decisively, physically. You don't let subordinates think they can just waltz in whenever they feel like it. You teach them. You remind them of their place in the hierarchy. A firm grip on the arm, a pull to make them stumble, a demonstration of superior strength. Not harm, just correction, just education. I had done this hundreds of times with younger Crow vaccine who got too cocky, with collections who needed reminding of who was in charge, even with Syrians who thought their size meant they could ignore protocol. A quick physical correction, a moment of dominance assertion, problem solved, respect restored. So I moved. 3 long strides across the briefing room. Riley had just reached for the back of a chair, probably about to sit down, when I came up behind her. I could see the other humans tense up, could see Jack Rodriguez, their security chief, start to rise from his seat, but it was too late. I was already in motion. My hand shot out, fingers closing around Riley's upper arm. Not hard enough to bruise, not violent, just firm, controlling. The classic correction grip. I started to turn her around, started to pull her off balance the way I had done 1,000 times before. That was when everything went sideways. Riley didn't stumble, didn't yelp, didn't resist in the clumsy, panicked way most smaller species did. Instead, she went completely still for maybe half a second, just long enough for me to register that something felt wrong. Her arm under my grip felt different than I expected. Not soft, not weak, coiled. I don't even know how to describe what happened next. One moment I had control of the situation. The next moment the entire world tilted. There was a twist, a step, a shift in weight distribution that defied physics as I understood it. My own grip became a liability. My own strength worked against me. And then I was looking at the ceiling. The impact with the floor knocked the air out of my respiratory system. My arm, the one that had been grabbing Riley, was now twisted behind my back at an angle that sent warning signals screaming through my neural network. Not broken, not quite, but absolutely and definitely controlled. I couldn't move it, couldn't pull free, couldn't do anything except lie there on the cold metal floor, completely and utterly immobilized by a human that weighed maybe a quarter of what I did. Riley's knee was pressed against my back. Her grip on my arm was unbreakable, and when she spoke, her voice was quiet, calm, and absolutely terrifying. Don't ever grab me again. The briefing room was silent, not the regular kind of quiet where people are just listening or paying attention. This was the kind of silence that happens when everyone's brains simultaneously stop working because reality just did something impossible.
I was still on the floor, still pinned, still completely unable to process what had just happened to me. My exoskeleton, which had protected me in 3 different combat situations and 2 bar fights, might as well have been decorative. My superior strength, the thing I had relied on my entire adult life, was completely useless. I tried to pull my arm free, tried to shift my weight, tried to do anything that might let me regain some dignity. Nothing. Riley's grip didn't budge even a millimeter. It was like my arm was locked in a mechanical vise. I stopped struggling. "Let me explain something," Riley said, her voice still that same calm, professional tone she used when discussing cargo manifests, like she pinned supervisors to the floor every day before breakfast. "On Earth, we have a concept called personal boundaries. When someone touches another person without consent, especially in an aggressive or controlling manner, that's called assault. We take it very seriously." I felt my stomach drop. I was just trying to enforce discipline.